Title: The Curtain of Doom. Dust danced in the single moonbeam that filtered through a broken window of the Emerald Theater. A sepulchral silence, broken only by the creaking of old wood, enveloped the hall. Decades had passed since the last performance, since that inexplicable fire consumed dreams and lives. But tonight, something had changed. Elena, a young and ambitious theater director, had managed to convince a group of novice actors to venture into the Emerald. Her idea was to revive the theater, to restore its lost glory. But from the very first rehearsal, a heavy atmosphere had taken hold of the place. Unintelligible whispers, fleeting shadows, and a constant feeling of being watched accompanied them in every corner. "Come on, guys, don't be scared," Elena said, trying to maintain her composure. "It's just our imaginations playing tricks on us. This place has a lot of history. It's normal to feel a little strange." But the strangeness soon turned into something more. During a late-night rehearsal of Hamlet, the voice of Ricardo, the lead actor, suddenly changed. His diction became perfect, his intonation, masterful. It was as if an actor from another era was possessing him. "To be, or not to be, that is the question," Ricardo recited with an intensity that chilled everyone present to the bone. But it wasn't Ricardo, it wasn't his voice, it wasn't his acting. It was something else, something ancient and powerful. Elena, gripped by panic, tried to stop him. But it was useless. Ricardo, or whatever inhabited him, continued with the scene, moving with a grace and supernatural precision. Suddenly, a blinding light illuminated the stage. When Elena could see again, Ricardo was lying on the floor, unconscious. From that night on, the incidents became more frequent and terrifying. Objects moving on their own, lights turning on and off without explanation, and the constant feeling of being watched by invisible eyes. But the most disturbing thing was the sound. Applause. Laughter. A ghostly ovation that echoed through the empty walls of the theater during the night. One night, while Elena was reviewing the script in her makeshift office, she heard a voice. A deep, resonant voice that seemed to come from the depths of the theater. "The show must go on," the voice whispered. Elena stood up, trembling, and followed the sound to the main stage. There, in the darkness, she saw a figure. A tall, slender figure dressed in period clothing. His face was hidden by shadows, but Elena could feel his gaze, intense and penetrating. "Who are you?" Elena asked, her voice barely audible. The figure did not answer. He simply pointed towards the curtain. The curtain, covered in dust and cobwebs, began to rise slowly, revealing an empty stage. But not for long. Suddenly, the lights came on, illuminating the stage with a spectral light. The actors, in a trance, began to recite their lines. But it wasn't Hamlet. It was another play, a dark and twisted play that Elena had never read. A play about forbidden love, betrayal, and bloody revenge. Elena then understood the truth. The theater was inhabited by the ghosts of the original company. The actors who had died in the fire, condemned to perform the same play over and over again, for all eternity. And now, they needed new actors. One by one, the members of Elena's group were possessed by the ghosts. Their faces transformed, their voices changed, their movements became rigid and mechanical. They had become puppets, instruments of an eternal tragedy. Elena tried to escape, but the door was locked. She was trapped, condemned to witness the performance, to be part of the ghostly audience. The play continued, reaching its climax in a scene of brutal murder. Ricardo, now possessed by the ghost of the lead actor, stabbed the actress playing his lover with a real dagger. The blood, red and thick, splattered the stage. Elena screamed, horrified. But her scream was lost in the deafening applause of the ghostly audience. The ghosts, satisfied, bowed to the audience. Then, they disappeared, leaving behind a sepulchral silence. Elena was left alone in the theater, surrounded by the corpses of her friends. Their faces were empty, their eyes lifeless. The show was over. But the nightmare was just beginning. Days later, Elena was found wandering the streets, completely insane. She mumbled incoherencies about ghosts, actors, and a cursed play. No one believed her. She was committed to a psychiatric hospital, where she spent the rest of her days tormented by the vision of the performance. The Emerald Theater remained abandoned, sealed off by the authorities. But those who live nearby say that, on full moon nights, you can hear applause and laughter coming from inside. And if you get close enough, you can see the lights on and the shadows of the actors dancing on the stage. Because in the Emerald Theater, the show must go on. Eternally.